see, different people got different standpoint of view, different perspective in the viewing certain events. In the point views of a lay people, when you talk about constructing a road, wow, good. Everybody say good. Even for Marx like me, oh, good, very good. Why? Because construction of road, it brings prosperity, it brings convenience to everyone. No one is at loss at all. But if you look in the aspect in the point of view of a temple as a view, a public place, a private road has become a public road. So the shortfall is what? There won't be peace. There won't be tranquility. There will be a lot of noise. There won't be security. There won't be safety because people can come into your place, drive through, and a lot of things can happen. Your thing can be lost. Your property can be damaged. Your belonging can be stolen. And so from different points of view, there arises a conflict of interest. In the point of view of the lay people, why the monk don't let me do the road? Why? And I'm going to say, I need to have peace. That's why. So there's a conflict of thoughts. So how can we come to we call it meet halfway. So with this kind of dispute, it's just like in life. What I'm trying to point is, in the point, people got different standpoint, different views. They look at different things. So we must differentiate. Everybody got good intention in doing things. If not, they won't do. Because it's good intention, that's why you want to build a road for people to travel, people to use the road, convenience, safe, to have to go through the kind of muddy areas, and so forth. Conveniency. But in terms of another party, a monastery, they say, oh, if the road, we let people use the road, then there'll be a lot of noises, blah, 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 blah. So, again, I say, conflict of interest, there'll be dispute. And how can we go about it? And of course, if we were to say that, how do we view this problem to find a way out? There'll be quarrel definitely. When you were to do something in this aspect, you'll be criticized by the lay people. Why this monk is like that? People want to do good, they don't let him let us do good. And it's like, why you're like that? If you come in, the road come in, then the temple won't be peaceful anymore. You'll be, like a marketplace, people will travel. And worse if the during season, there'll be a lot of durian up in the hill. People will be using the road passing through. And then there'll be no peace. And so there's a conflict there. And the question was put to me just now. So I said, well, it's the different point of view, how we look at the problem. You can never strike a win-win. Right? You only can say that, okay, you solve problem within your own means, that's all. Within your boundary, what are the things you can do to prevent insecurity, unsafety? Is to create barrier, that's all. Gates, harms, and so forth. Likewise, the training rules for the lay people, the 5 precepts, 8 precepts, 10 precepts, and the monk's precept. They are just like harms to slow down the flows of when our mind moves too fast. You got to break it. When you have this precept to intercept our action, our speech, then we will observe more clearly and identify more easily each and individual's mind state. That's why this precept is so important in our trainings. This whole call what? Sekiya what? Mind training, so important because it starts to break it. It makes a person to be more mindful of what you're doing. And this is a training. And again, you talk about external aspect, like I'm talking about the road. We're using the road to be people with no training. They can just go through. They don't care. They can carry all sorts of things. But if with the precept, we are creating harms. So we can check whatever wholesome thought and unwholesome thought, it goes slower. We can identify easier. Even though people may be coming in, but it goes slow. When it hit our sensory gland, it slows down with the precept. It starts to slow down. So you see, when you understand the practicing of the Dharma, you can understand and solve internal problem of ourselves and the external problem of the world. Because nothing is above defilement. Everything goes under the influence of defilement. It's just that our mind must have the kind of morality, you see, like the Buddha's implementations of the precept for us to observe, mindfulness, for us to practice. And all this is to slow down the momentum of our own mind so that we can perceive, so that we can watch very clearly whatever thought that arises, we know. And from there, then we make decision from there. Okay? How to move about it. How can we strike a balance in between so that our practice can be beneficial for ourselves without disturbing other people. That is called what we call wisdom. You know how to handle things wisely. It's not beyond humans' determination to do it. When the Buddha was in India, he faced more challenges than what we are now. The Buddha solved most of the problem. That's why I've been recording the sutta. So as we read sutta, we read the Buddha's teaching, we reflect in this incident, how the Buddha handled the situation. In this incident, why the Buddha do this? Why he do that? Why? When we start to throw questions on the incident, and then we try to bring it into this present moment, this present world we are in. The same principle apply because why? We human beings have greed, hatred, delusion. Nothing different from people in the ancient time. Ancient people also have greed, hatred, delusion. That's why I see human beings keep multiplying. Have you seen human beings go lesser? No, more human beings coming out on the earth. And the land that we are staying, getting smaller and smaller. That's why human being, because of the influence of greed, hatred, and delusion, is fighting for what? Fighting for survival, fighting for dominations of food, dominations of power, and so forth. And that's why this world of samsara works this way. You'll be like that in this present moment. It has already happened in the past, and you'll be the same in the future. Because this is the world. This is what the Buddha described, the world of samsara. That's why the Buddha said, birth is suffering. Birth is suffering. Aging, illness, death is suffering. Is it true? True. To leave your beloved one, to leave or to someone pass away is suffering. Not to get what we want, also suffering. To hate someone, to be angry about someone, to regret of what our wrongdoing in the past is also suffering. And what we call it, these five khandhas, this body of ours, this feeling, this mental perceptions, mental formations, and this consciousness is all suffering. Why we don't see it? Because our mind keep denying the truth. No, there must be a better way. That's the problem, because we keep going against what the Buddha tells us. That's why we cannot see the Dharma. We must agree with the Buddha theory. Oh yes, without putting our view into the Buddha's teaching. Because you look at the 64 wrong view in the Brahmacharya Sutta, the Buddha talked about the 64 wrong view. You can see our view inside there. Oh, all the wrong view. Plus our view inside there, we think should be done in this way. And this is why we make things so difficult for ourselves. And we cannot adapt. And that's why we suffer. But we don't know we are suffering. A lot of people can't find peace in their ordinations. It's because of this way. Because we keep, on one hand, we say the Buddha's teaching is good. On the other hand, we deny. We try to push. We try to put our way of interpretation with the Buddha Dharma, which is full of defilement. And we say, no, this is the way it should be. But where are we heading from here? If we look at ourselves, we have saw so many examples in the past. So-called foreign monks were ordained in Thailand, and they will go back to their country. Don't talk about foreign monks, talk about Japan in the history. The first batch Japanese monk went to China for training, and he went back. We must do the Japanese stuff. Did they survive? All destroyed, gone. So many batch until the Soto Zen, the Zen sect, they go back. No, we must follow the ancient teaching. We must uphold. And they survive. Soto Zen, until today, they survive. You look at Luang Por Chah's tradition, you look at Luang Por Sumedho, and all the Kuba Ajahn of Ajahn Chah's tradition, they follow. They never say, we go to England, must English. No, they follow. This is our teacher doing, we follow the protocol. And they survive. And for those who fail, of course, they say, and they try to blame the tradition. They never blame themselves. That it is their own misled understanding, wrong view, their pride, their ego that screws up themselves, not other people. No, nothing to do with Which country? No, it's because they never identified that the teaching of the Buddha is to subdue one's own greed, hatred, and delusion, one's own pride and ego. That's why in history, sometimes we study history of Buddhism, we say, oh, why? Why these teachers? Why Soto Zen failed so many times? Why? Then we dig inside. Oh, yeah. Because they never uphold the Vinaya rules. They listen to the lay people. And worse still, they say, you all must marry. Wow. Monk can get married. Why not? So all the monks destroy and get married. In the end, it's no more Buddhism. In the end, they have just so-called ceremonial monk in Japan. Why I want to bring this thing? Because this is a food for thoughts, food for reflections. And why in you see Ajahn Chah's tradition so successful? You see in the Dharma order, Ajahn Jeff, Ajahn Dick, Nonta Mabua, why they are so successful in the state and overseas? No problem. Because they have something to fall on to. They trusted the Dharma Vinaya, they trusted the elders' coaching, and they follow strictly. And they are blessed by the teacher and blessing. Because why? It's a tested traditions. It's not that our own personal view based on this present current defilement. People will come and tell that, oh, we should adapt. This is defilement. If you give it to defilement, you will never grow. It will never grow. You will be disaster only. Because I'm here for only 1.5 years. And I saw, oh, it's not easy. And what a monk should do, they are not doing anymore. What a lay people should do, they are not doing anymore. In the end, the lay people want to come and teach now. And they have been endorsed by certain so-called reputed teachers to be able to teach. And I say, well, this is the world. We can look at it, contemplate the whole thing, and we cannot change the world, but we can change ourselves. This is the only way we change ourselves. And by the way we perform ourselves, we will only help those people who come to us and want to be helped. We're not going to selling a product like a cheapskate salesman. No. You see, the Buddha say what? The Buddha have the jnana, got the supernatural power to scan the whole world. And you say, okay, to this person, need to be helped. He go all the way to help. The Buddha never go, this family and tell people, you want me to help you? No. It's not a cheapskate. The real Dharma is we all, because why? When you start to do that, then people will look at you. Why is this happening? In terms of the world, yes, it's very nice, lending helping hand. But in terms of Dharma, we should be more resilient with perseverance. We should be more, it's not that we are narrow-minded. We're not narrow-minded. We stay put. It's just our mind. We stay inside the body. We don't leave the body. Then we can in control and watch over our defilement all the time. The minute we leave the base, we leave the temple, and your house got nobody look after. What happened? Thief can come in, people can come in and steal your thing and make havoc. Now, who to blame now? Are we responsible for ourselves? We say yes. Are we responsible for all my state? We say yes. But are we? My question, are we? Are we let our mind wander with external things? This is something we should reflect on as a practitioner. No matter whether you are lay people or you are ordained or not ordained, the same kind of principle apply. That's why you see the Buddha's teaching is so well expounded, so well explained. The Buddha dare to challenge you. Come, see for yourself. It's timeless. Experience for yourself. See for yourself. The Buddha never say, oh, you believe me? Oh, come. No, Buddha said, come. You see all these princes in the Sakya Wong in the past. They have been through life of uncertainty. They were not happy with their life, even though they are so rich, prince, with all the enjoyment. And they say, why I'm experiencing this dissatisfaction, this dukkha within me. And he was pondering. Why? And he walked by this place where the Buddhas are dwelling. And then Buddha said, come here. Here you won't suffer. Here you won't experience the kind of dissatisfaction. Here is what? Here is you listen to the Buddha Dharma. Follow the Buddha's teaching. Follow the Buddha advice. And see for yourself. You see, the Buddha never said, believe. The Buddha, you do it, experience yourself, see for yourself, be a witness for yourself. Then you can have the faith, the real faith. Real faith, sattha. Sattha is what? Real faith arise within yourself. That should be the way. And we can do that. Oh, don't worry. You just stay put. People will come to you. You don't worry. But if we leave our base, the base is what? Our body. If we leave the base and we start to engage with endless thinking, endless external thing, finish. Your energy will be detriment, will pull out. We pull out. And when real problem arise in us, we are not there to address it. That's why we say lack of mindfulness. This is how we can conclude, oh, this is because we lack of mindfulness, lack of attention, lack of being aware of the activities that are happening within our own mind. That's why we are the one who is experiencing this kind of mind state. Then we can make changes. But if we never identify this one, then our finger will be pointing outside all the time. This person no good, that person. And torturing, let me tell you, it's self-torture. But we look at it, it's self-torture. But people who don't identify, they will say that, no, it's my right. Okay. Why I'm saying this thing? Because this is from observant, from my experience. Oh, it's not easy. But this is none of my problem because why? To each their own karma. I make sure my mind doesn't behave in this state. And that's it. Like I say, every time I say my state very clearly, we will only help people who want to be helped. We won't help people who don't need our help, and we won't try to go and help. And they say that how people will think about us. We are not a cheapskate, but we won't deny if people want us to help them. Full swing, we will help them. That's why we have commitment all over the place, but we never deny to help them, because even though we are overseas in Australia, practitioners from China, from Malaysia, from America, Sweden, all these countries, they have from the call. And with the time changes, next morning, straight away reply. Because why? Good people who long for the Dharma are so handful, so little, few thousand miles away. I said, wow. But we have these people around in the world. And we said, worth to help, very worth to help. That'll be the sharing for today. I hope that think about it for reflections, so that it can be some food for thought for you, for your own practice. Yatha varivaha pura paripurenti sakarang eva meva nitotina bhetanang upakapatit ichita baditantum hankipameva samichatu sabhe purentu sankapa Chando panna raso yatha manichoti raso yatha Tiyo vivan chando sambaro govina saduma te bhavan vantarayo sukhindika yoko bhava bhivadana sili sanicang vutta pacayino cataro Dhamma vantanti ayuvanno sukhang Atlang ayudo balado tero vanado padiphanado Sukha sadana menavi sukha sadika jatit Ayudatava balavanang sukha japadiphanado Ekayo ya savahote yata yatu babajati te Kale dadante sapanya wadanyo vitamachara Kale nadinna dariyeso jopote sotadisot Vipassana manattasa vipola hodidakina Ye tata numodanti veya vacha karoti va Na te na da gina o na te pi punya sabagino Ta samadante apati va na cito ya dharinna mahabalang Punyani paraloka sami parida hontit Paridante bhavatu sa pamangalang rakadu sa badevata sa pabuddha nubhavena sada soti bhavatu te ภาวะตุสัพพมังคลังราคะตุสัพพเทวตาสัพพธัมมานุภาเวนะสดาโสติภวันตุเตภาวะตุสัพพมังคลังราคะตุสัพพเทวตาสัพพธัมมานุภาเวนะสดาโสติภวันตุเต